O le Falea'Oga o le Lumana'I. O le whaapoponga o le tātou Polokalame masani. I le nei Aso Tofi Aso Sultolo mati. Lua afe lua sulima. O le tātou Malo o le Afioga i le Matua o Faiva. O le researcher o le Faiaoga. O le Fomai o le Tofa Manino. Ia Dr. Vaoiva Natapu-Ponton. Mafuta mai Brisbane, Australia ni afiafi. Sini au tu. Whailoa lupe whaalele Samoa au auna mtanga luenga ese. Tau ia waonga, to mai whapitoa, tapua inga, anga nuu ngangana soifua maloloina, poto salalau. Manisi, ito tonu Aotearoa, ai alike lope o esa ili malo ai Samoa. Whamatala tātou tala, tātou nafa, tātou sotanga, soifuanga lautele, e a vema au wala e faaaloalogia pea, ma ia mautū lo tātou whasino manga, a wafa nau matupulanga whai mai. Manino au wala le lei, e mawhai ai ona whaatuputupula ia le fia e awa o sue, ma fina finau i so o se Faiva o wala au ina ai. Ai maise o le nofo sila fia le mamalu le tāpua inga le atunu. Ia au nanga ese. E ia te au le ava tele ma le whaaloalo e whailo. Ia mwhapea foi on whawhelo ai le tātou malo ne a fiafi o toi tā ua. O le Afioga Matua o Faiva. O le tangata sue sini a researcher. O le Faiaoga. O le Fomai o le Tofa Manino. O lo ngalue i le University Griffiths University i Ausitalia. Le Afioga Fomai o le Tofa Manino. Ia Dr. Vaoiva Natapu-Ponton. Fiomaia, Malo so fu manuia whaftai mafuta mai ne fiafi.
Patalo fane le malu Samoa whaafonga mai. E mua le whaftai ma le vi inga le atua ona le nei awanoa ma whai ai ona tātou wheloa i lunga o le nei walesi whaasalau. Whaatalo whaatu i lo Afioga Tofilau, leo lo o whaatautai le nei Polokalame. Whawhetai mo lo Valaa'awina o lo ni tangata whaatau waa, e mua ona o whaamalulu atu, ona o pa ia mauma malu whaale atu nuu. O lea le o iaise sa o whamatalanga, nei se tala ona avea lea ma o lape. O te whaatalo whaatu i le au whaingaluenga pa ia le atua, o lo o whaafale le malu i so te whata whaitaulanga a wale tau asuina o le upu o le ola. Whaatalo whaatu fo i le mamalu le atu nuu, o mawhai ona maua maile nei Polokalame, Malo le soifua maua.
Lange mama. I la Afioga le Matua o Faiva ne afiafi. Malo whaftai tā pena. E tari tonu. Ia te le ne avanoa wa e tu mai mo mātou. Ia o la whapeo na mātou. Whafonga foi Samoa. E tāpua inga. I o Faiva o lo whapeo na whianga iai. O te whaitau nisi o vaenga i le pepa o whamtalanga. O le Afioga le tātou Malo ne afiafi. E a Dr. Vaoiva Natapu-Ponton. E su mai. E la fanga o motaa, apolima, iva, masai pipi. So i fuane o ia au kilani New Zealand. Ia ona whapelea ona malanga atu male ainga ona mātua tasiva waluono. O saili matangi fo i lai tu pe ona iai. Ima whapena ona amata ilo na soifuanga au ina ia onga mai le intermediate ma onga mawalunga. O ia se Faiaoga pasi. Lua sulima tausanga o ngā lue Faiaoga. Mana ulua ngā lue Faiaoga i Samoa College i Samoa. Tausanga tasiva i wavalu tausanga lua afe. Faiaoga ia onga mawalunga i Australia. Toi foi mai. Mai le lua afe i le lua afe sfuluono. Tasiva valuono le nasi tia i Australia. Ia tu so nā le soifua o oina latua ia universite. Whapena ia pasi mawalunga mai ia vaenga. Se ia o, ina whaaua wina i whailonga maurulunga. Pio na ielo na whailonga o le masters, ia malona whailonga o le Fomai o le Tofa Manino, po le PhD, ia mai le Universite o Melbourne, ia o le aise taimi o na whailonga mai le ia vaenga sa sue ina ia na whailonga maurulunga ia. Luafe sufitu luafe luasfulu na mata mailon soifua o wina as an early career Pacifica academic i AUT sa vea yo ia Faiaoga ia paper leader in health faculty peo na whaafonga mai e luafe sufitu luafe luasfulu Ian whapio na ngalue me Faiaoga i Queensland Schools mai luafe luasfulu i le luafe luasfululua. Se iau o i le lua tausanga luafe luasfutolu. Whapea la ia ona hose e atu i le University, Griffiths University. O lo ngalue e te minei mai le luafe luasfutolu se iau o mai le so. O ia o se Research Fellow. O lo ngalue le Pathways i Place Program i Logan Academic Lead po le MAPS. O ia o se sauwhanga atu, i sauwhainga i lato whainwhaingo Fellow of the Higher Education Academy ia i o i Lontona. Fellow of the Higher Education Academy, i Lontona. O ia foi, o sui o le laulau a fono, Executive Member, Australian Pacifica Educators Network. Ia, o whaitaua ma le maofa. Wa tari tonu e le ngā lupau lea o vaenga o iai lo tō mai sa iri iri. O ia o stangata e fie na manau nau e ngā lua i suenga, researcher, e fausia la fua, strategies, mo le ati na e o awala le lei, e wha malo si au, wha le leia, awala awale so longa le lei o so tanga, o le tamaititi a onga mai le a onga mawalunga, i le a onga ai, ma le o atu ai i le universite. Interested in strategies to empower, enhance and engage student success in a transition from school to the tertiary sector. Te le vaenga ngalua i o ia. Ai ma aif e leo lunga lava. I le una ia o anga tausili wha Pasifika e meise Samoa. I le wha tino ina o nei a la fua. The experience of utilizing Pacific methodologies is explored in various publications. Tele o tusi ma suenga o whapea o na tustusia and published. O whaipipu atu le sunga a kou se pālangi Australia mai tō tolu o la ua alo. Oka. Leo whaafonga le atunu o inisio matatia ua ausia le Afioga le Matua Faiva. O whaitau am whaafonga Samoa ma eu foi o lo tau whai. Pio na Faaaloalogia i lor pe po whamtalanga. O le ata uli ili nisi o vaenga i le tātari noanga. E sei mua i sau no mai. Ia le wo lo nei o le teine o le whasalele. Ia lo suafa matango fio Vaoiva. Ia a o ai Vaoiva Natapu-Ponton. Pia whapea o lai whaafonga mai. Malo lau tele o Samoa.
Whaftai lava, loa whionga Tofilau, ia family atu lela whaaperitania o responses.
Yeah.
So I don't miss anything, but please keep asking questions as I go with this. So I am a God-fearing wife, mother, and grandmother,
Malo.
and who utilizes the gifts and the values and beliefs of both the Western and most importantly our Samoa culture, our Faaaloalogia, to live harmoniously or try to in whatever country we are called to by our employment or by our circumstances. So yes, I was born and raised in Auckland and left at a very young age during intermediate. And I think through the very strict Christian upbringing that I was raised with by my loving parents, for Lawina Natapu from Mota'a, and her father Lawina Matotia is from Iva, and from my late father Matapo'o Natapu Siosi in Apulima, and he hails from Apulima, and his father's from the late Reverend Siosi Natapu's from Sepipi. So I come from parents who have migrated twice from Samoa to New Zealand in the 70s, and then in the mid 80s to Australia, always looking for opportunities or for improved lifestyle or opportunities that they could give back to communities. And I saw my parents do that time and time again in bringing other family members to New Zealand and living in our extended home. So I'm a product of my parents' values and beliefs, Christians,
Mm.
upbringing, and we actually born and raised in Onehunga e Whakasa, so
Male.
to to all the e Whakasa family members, and I still catch up with a few I grew up with here in Brisbane. So, I come from a line of people who have always strive to make opportunities wherever we travel and wherever we reside, knowing that God is first and foremost in what we do.
Amene ma. Whawhitai i le matangofie o le saunoanga. E te le ta mau ainga o lo a fifi mai lau saunoanga. Ia e lau alunga o le anganga sa ili malo o tua a. Pe ona e whasoa mai i o Matua. Sa ili avanoa le lei, avanoa mo a onga mga luenga. Ia, le le tau ilo e le tau fisilingia foi. Le lei o la ua whaatama soali inga. Ia, le ua e ula mai pale mai, pe ona iai. You know what your parents dreamed, and I think you're not unique. Most of our whanau who are doing well in New Zealand and Australia and America, yeah, they are products o le fina finau o Matua. Yeah, and why they left the warmth of our island homes. E o mai sa ili malo. Taitono to tele Matua lo whafonga mai. Lo whapea ona taitono foi pe ona sau whamatala mai. Le matango fie o le sa ili malo o Matua. Ia, e le tau selu atu. O leo whafonga tapua inga Samoa. I lo foi tau mawhai. Ia, ai mai se foi. Ia, e ani mai ai. Ia, le tau mawhai ngā Matua malie. Lava lau sau noanga mtulanga whapea. Ia, o le soifuanga na. Ia, ka le sia na whapea o na whai lele mai ai. A o mai tau atu pepo whamtalanga. Le tele o Tofinga. Such a young life. And you worked in 3 countries already. Ia, au tantonu foi o lo whapea lava o na whawau. But growing up in Auckland and then Australia and then Samoa at one time and all that, ole ase mea sa e miti ai. What sort of job were you drinking? Were you dreaming of? E taimi nao
You know,
tupu ai.
I've say love mole Vasily. It was I think I've always been a people person. I've always loved spending time with people. So I went for the superficial goals when I was a teenager of being a hairdresser, a fashion designer.
Nothing
But
wrong with
when I
that.
nothing wrong. I still use those types, so I'm still interested in those things. But I really did enjoy when I was in high school in Melbourne because I've lived in Melbourne for 40 years before
Malia
moving
lava.
country and traveling. So I spent more of my life in Melbourne than I have anywhere else. But my parents were really great in making sure that we came back to Samoa because by the fortune my father had a good job at Qantas, so we were able to travel on staff travel. So we always spent Christmas like 3 months each year in Samoa, which
Te
is where
mane.
my passion and enjoyment of coming home to the motherland started at a very young age. And that's where we picked up, how to speak the language and protocols and so forth. But my first language is English, and I'm building on that knowledge of responding to such interview questions. That is my dream. But education, working with people, has always been a passion of mine. And sometimes I didn't realize what I really wanted until, I sort
Yes,
of
yeah, well,
stumble and fall, fail at the one thing. And to be honest, I failed in high school twice in year 10 and year 12 in my senior years in Melbourne because I struggled to fit in Australian communities, especially going into school. We were the only Samoan students, my siblings and I, at our college. So our first high school in Melbourne, there were 800 students and there were only 3 Samoans. So when you go from New Zealand to where everyone looks like you, and then you move to a country where you're trying to spot the islander or spot someone who is not Balangi, it was quite isolating and a bit tricky. So, you know, it took me a while to adjust and to get a sense of who I was. And I think that plays an important role in why I do what I do or have gone into education, and that's helping others to achieve through the pathway of education whatever their dreams are. So
Malo.
at this minute, or in my role at University, it is through it's Māori and Pacifica Pathways to Success program that I am academic lead in, and we support students at all ages. It can be high school or mature age students to discover what their passions are and where their talents lie, and to support them through it from enrollment to studying to completion and then career pathway. So,
E tō tere lanta mai ti Māori ma Pacific. I Naruto
unfortunately,
University. Hmm.
so what we have in Australia, there, I always keep saying to families who are surprised, who come to Australia, if you picture New Zealand 20 years ago, that's where we're at. So in schools and universities, except for Western Sydney University, there is no identifier when you enroll that, you know, you can't tick a box
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you're
yeah,
Māori
yeah,
or
yeah.
Pacifica. So it's very hard to say the numbers unless you
You
are
know
on
someone,
campus
yeah.
and you see someone in these, oh, are you you from Samoa? Or, you know, it's very hard. We are advocating for that as Pacifica academics to have the identifier in the schools so we can actually build on the initiatives, on the programs that support young people and mature age students to do well with education.
Good luck
And
with that. It'll help you a lot. Yeah, build
yes.
up your numbers. Malo. Leana, people from Talanga. I lau PhD. O le ale topic sa su e ia sa fai e lau whailonga leo le lau Fomai o Tofa Manino whamolmole.
So it's funny, when I finished teaching at Samoa College, I've always been thirsty for knowledge. I've always wanted to learn and had questions. How can I be a better educator? How can I be a better teacher?
Why? Why did you ask that? Did you feel that?
Because I knew that there were more strategies to engage young people in the
Malia.
classroom, and I needed to go probably leave Samoa and go back to Melbourne to learn that, and then come back with the skills to share that knowledge. So that's why I kept studying, is because I was curious, and I
Malia.
discovered that through research you can learn how many different countries engage their learners, and also how different educational systems around the world operate. And what I wanted to bring to the Australian education system and still advocate today is, you know, our young people, they have different ways of learning and engaging.
Malia.
And when
Malia.
you use such methods like, or pedagogy like Pacific methodologies, you know, it's a Samoan way of knowing or Pacific ways of knowing, being, and understanding, they are able to thrive, and they are able to participate enthusiastically in learning activities. Sometimes you walk into a school and you think, oh, they've got this one size fits all, but
But
it's
it's
not.
not.
You know,
Yeah.
every individual learner has a unique way of learning in it. And for our communities, our young people, uh, we're advocating to say this is what helps, but the bonus is it actually helps all learners.
Malia.
So, you know,
O le
when you're
vai
doing
hala
hand.
nana su e lau PhD.
Yes, so it was looking at Samoan high school, Samoan student experiences in homework groups in Melbourne.
Malia.
And so it was the first PhD in education on that topic in Victoria.
Nice.
And it was a bit tricky because
Send me a link.
when nobody else has gone before you
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to be the role model, and there nobody knew anything about Pacific methodologies in Australia, so I reverted back to New Zealand. I travelled to New Zealand to see Professor Peggy Fairbairn Dunlop,
Yes,
who
yes, yeah.
I just Googled anything to do with engagement and learning and supporting our students. And then I went to visit those academics and say, we don't have academics like you in Australia. So my framework was New Zealand, and I had to sort of build it around this is what Samoan students are experiencing in Melbourne, and they are struggling because they don't see themselves represented in the staff, or they find that the methodologies that the teachers are using are not engaging them. So it was about having that space and time for young people to come with their parents and their siblings to learn how they can be successful in the Australian education system. So it was a year-long research where I had about 11 students come each week in two parts of Melbourne, western suburbs and northern suburbs. And together with parents was helping them understand this is what you need to do if you want your child to succeed in Australian education
Tai
system.
mana, yeah.
Uh,
So,
um, uh,
so ania tula le Afioga ya Tangaloa. Professor
yes,
Peggy,
absolutely.
yeah.
She was my unofficial supervisor.
Supervisor.
Like I would write and say, "Am I on the right track?" And Professor Tangaloa would write back, keep going, you're doing it. I said, no, not that, just focus on this. So it was really fantastic to
Tai
have
mana,
that
yeah. Yeah,
opportunity. And
yeah.
then, having to meet and work with Professor Tangaloa, that was a real bonus for me when I came back to New Zealand.
Malo le sa ili ili. E maua atu iau whaasoa mai. Ia loanganga finau. Peo na e saunoa e fo i mai lo e kolisi sa ili. Whaatino le suenga. Lea la ua now evidence led. Le whai ei lau ngā luenga o lo whai nei. Lo whaatino ina nei. O Australia e tō tele atu isi tangata. Is lots of different ethnic groups. E ai foi lani la
Absolutely.
tau au ala e sosoani e tai pei o tatou au ala e whaatino aile e sosoani whanau. Do you find any similarities in any of the ethnic groups in your university?
Absolutely. So the model that I used for my PhD was actually from the Sudanese group.
Okay.
And what I did is I trialed that model of setting up a homework study group for Sudanese students, and flipped it to utilizing the same concepts
Really?
for Samoan students, and it
Wow.
worked. So it was a paper that I read about university students in Sydney setting up a specific study group for Sudanese students, and that's when the idea dropped to try it with our young people in Melbourne. Um, so I find that when the education system is very westernized, the ones who are from minority groups or where English is a second language, they struggle because they don't see themselves represented in the
No,
curriculum.
yeah. Peo le.
So,
Peo i
so
nei
it's
ma
really
olim
important.
Pasifika. Maria.
Yeah,
Sauno.
so it's really important that even when you're doing literacy, that young people are exposed to literature that is written by authors who come from their countries or who come from their experiences. And I think that's something that we're advocating for here is ensuring that there a different or a variety of literature that is selected, or that the learner has a choice. You can either do Shakespeare or you can read Albert Wendt or you can read Garcia Figueroa. You can read, having, for me, it's about giving the learner the choice so that they are able to be empowered to actually succeed in achieving the academic skills, but they can use a literature that they can relate to.
Mana ya.
And
Vaenga le
that's
wa
what I'm
sa. Yeah,
finding is
yeah.
the difference.
Whaftai peo na sauno mo mua. Tu sa o o New Zealand le luas fu tau sanga talu ai. Le ngalu ai o tau Australia taimi nei. E sa o la
Yes.
ufa a fuala i ai. Ia, o e mo ia. A lo fina foi ma tau ma lui tau ana le vai taimi al nei. O lo ia lui tau na. O lo o tō tele o leo o tofu ala universite ia ma Pasifika i nei. Leo e tō tele ala i Samoa ngā lue ai tau whai. O le au ngā e tasi pe ona e saunoa. O le tau whai le ai fesosoani au ala ese. Ia wai e le whape vai tato whanau. Au le ese o maalam anga. O le ese au ala. A le lai maani e lau whamtalanga lai le. I le mafuaanga ma se tasi o awala na fesosoani ia o le tapena ina o lau PhD e maise o le pepa le na i Sudan. Ana e mawai awala ese matulanga. Ia o le o whaatino foi homework whapena i nei i New Zealand taimi nei. O lo o fesosoani e tawilinga o le larolangi. O lo o whapea na whaawau pea. O nei e iai tatou tūmanga. E fesosoani I whanau. E fesosoani. Se I sau noa manino mai la, oe. Na fesosoani vaenga I ati oe. Pua a fua na I ailena e sau noa mai. Na e feo le ia ten, to e feo le ia 13. Ono le ai o se fesosoani whapea. So mua, how did you pick yourself up? Whaftai mo le tau tino mai. Whaftai mo le whinau. Ia wai e tō tele I se whea loa alu loa. I le awal, alu le streets. Malo le whina. So how did you pick yourself up? Pe a whai leo ia ni Faiaoga Samoa. Po ni Faiaoga Pasifika. Ia, mai se o Matua sa lango.
Absolutely. I think when I saw what my parents were going through, I understood this is what they would have experienced moving to New Zealand for the first time. And as we migrated to Australia, we're just starting from scratch, just like I imagine when my parents moved to New Zealand. So they worked so hard. And there was a small community of Samoans, they tell their relatives to come and so on. So my mum's brother was already here. I saw that through their hard work and like I'm a parent now and I remember the many discussions whautuanga that my parents would have for me because I was no easy child to love. I had my rebellious years, but my parents' patience and perseverance and prayers were really I felt it and I haven't forgotten it and I think I'm going to tear up
What
remembering.
advice, for a young person going through the same issues, like Faaalogia mai Matua, what advice would you give those parents?
I go through it too with my own adult children. It's like persevering and praying, and you keep encouraging, speaking positive, words of encouragement to them, and saying, hey, I can see you trying. What can I do to help you? How can we best support you to achieve your goals? I
Mania.
have I have a son who didn't finish high school. He left at year 10 and it was a hard thing to me because I wanted all my kids to have PhDs.
Yeah, Mania,
And
Mania.
the youngest son, my husband, my dear husband Cole said to me, "Do you want a happy child or do you want a miserable child?" And so,
Mania.
we had to recognize and understand as parents that you can love them or push them so much through the education pathway, but if it's not their passion, then
Mania.
he became a great butcher, a great construction worker, and now he's working in the mines. And he has bought his own apartment from the money he's made in the mines. So he turned out
Mania.
fine. I have two who start university as mature age students now. My daughter's starting a Bachelor of Education. She started last week. My son
Nice.
started a Bachelor of Counseling as mature age students. So whilst it didn't happen on my timing, they have to go through their
Yeah.
own
Yes.
hoops.
Yeah.
Sometimes as parents, and I'm sure my parents they were hurting when they saw me make those mistakes.
Mm.
But I see as a parent now, sometimes they, oh, I wish you wouldn't do that because I know where that's going. But sometimes you have to let them fall or let them have their mistakes in order to get up and think, I don't want to be poor, or, why did I study? Why did I go beyond and be a teacher? Because that earned more than working in a supermarket or working in a warehouse. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but I just wanted a
Yeah.
bit more
Yeah.
income to support my family,
Mm.
myself,
Mm.
and so
And to
forth.
push themselves further. Ah,
Yeah.
matango fie e ser mana i vaenga le e whasoa mai. E whawhitai le anganga e mwhaiuna e whasoa mai i whataita inga i lo ainga. Ia e meise o lo tau mawhai ma lo whinau. Ia ma vaenga umana. Peona e tau whasoa mai. O te fia Cecilia tua, just to digress a little bit. O lea o e se fellow. I o America. I mean UK. How did you become a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, United Kingdom?
So,
Mm.
at AUT, they had a program where, while I was a lecturer and paper leader there, you could use the 12 months to gather evidence in your teaching or lecturing, and I was
Mm-mm.
publishing at the same time. I had to publish some information, some evidence from my PhD. So it was the first time that AUT were trialing putting
Manino.
academics through the fellow program
Mm.
from the UK. So over a period of 1 year, I was able to have a mentor and gather evidence over that time of student engagement, student surveys, publications. Also, reporting on my pedagogy, on my teaching, and how that developed over time. So there was a criteria that the
Manaya.
Higher Education UK has set for AUT, and they had people who were qualified to mentor a few of us. So that was, again, I like learning and taking on new
Yes,
tasks.
yes,
I
yes.
like multitasking. Sometimes if you look at my tab on the laptop, I'll have 50 things open because my mind is like that, doing different things during various times.
Yeah.
Or
If I
some people
pengala o
call
fasaliu.
procrastinating, or it's called procrastination. But
Malo.
it was lovely opportunities. If I see opportunities, I like to try it. And the bonus, the reward is you have a recognition or acknowledgement there.
Mana ya.
Um,
Mana
I
ya.
will,
O le mafuanga na ofisilia. Ia. Awa le sila fia lo tfanga luenga i o tango. Ia. E iei foi la ia vaenga whapena Polokalame. Lea o le winga o le whamtalanga. Ia. Unique people. E sa ili masui sui. E mwhai e awa nona. Ia la pe ila o Afioga nea fiafi. O se te mau a inga matango fia lo whaasoa mai. How you got it, because if so ani on the side, ai mau ai le whailoilo le lei tono CV, ia e tau le lei ai, ia atulanga whapena. Se whamatala mai la, o ani anga tau silia Samoa o lo e whaongaina. Wa le e te whamatala mai la le Pacific methodologies, whaongaina o tātou metotia fo ilia, ia a wale sosoani la i whanau ia peona e whaamatalatala mai a onga maulunga ina ia mawhai o na o atu university ma pasi lele
So at the moment, I have 1 day a week at Marsden State High School,
okay.
which has nearly 4,000 students in the Logan region. And I'm actually working with teachers running the same program. It was a homework study group last semester, and we changed it to a drop-in, the Moana Pacific Mako drop-in, which was named by the three teachers, Māori teachers who work there. And what we do is we encourage young people, like we bring in the pankeke, bring in the food, the fruits,
Mm.
to come drop in to study. They can hang out there. This is a way of engaging young people to stay after school for an hour and a half or 2 hours to do some of their homework or to study for a
Mana.
test, or they can share their assessments or do speeches in front of us. And that's a initiative that came from the parents and the community of that school. They wanted, as you said, our young people and our mature age students are more than capable of achieving right up to the highest level of education. They just need to know how to do it living in Australia. What are the strategies? So we still incorporate the traditional values of beliefs of sharing food, coming together as one,
Mana.
multi-age, multi-level. And we have the siblings come in as well, like from primary school, after school they join. So that's one of the initiatives that happen. Uh,
Mana.
our our team, we travel out to other campuses, also join. So we have a project coordinator who regularly visits other university groups as well. It's bringing in the best of our cultures, our Pasifika Maori cultures, to
Malo.
highlight that it's not a foreign environment. Universities are not foreign environments. We do belong there, and the only way that we can have more employed academics as Pasifika Maori is to have a lot of enrollments through our communities come through. They want to, they're just not too sure how. So we step into the high schools to help those pathways and develop that knowledge. And then we're also there on the other side. We invite them to come to campus for events during the year so they are familiar and it's not a foreign space for them.
O mea umana e whaatino e free. Ia
They are
awa unanga
free.
na e free. E tō tele la e o atu. Ai, is it good attendance? Or is it
Sometimes
working?
it's really good. I have to say, some of the other events that were held with some community groups like Village Connect, they had an unlimited event, and that was bringing 40 churches, other
Ola,
denominations
maanga e.
on campus. There were about 300 to 400 people came over the Saturday on Logan campus, and the university encourages communities to use their facilities because, again, they want to make sure that it's not a foreign concept or
Mane,
a foreign
mane.
space to them. Um, and so, there are events that allow the communities to come on campus. Griffith University is the only one that has a separate Pasifika and Māori graduation. Vice Chancellor funds and supports that. We're able to bring in a band, have a dinner after the ceremony, and the Pasifika Māori community groups or students, they come and do the performances before the graduates cross the floor. So
Tai
we're
mana
really
e.
excited. And I know that other Australian universities are wanting to adopt that celebration as well, because we feel that we celebrate in unique and wonderful ways. And our Vice Chancellor, Professor Carolyn, she loves that and she really enjoys the island food too.
Ia, o mana ia winga lea. O tātou a inga e o whātasi. E o whātasi o le malanga e o whātasi. Po ai te mai titi ia matulanga whapena. Ia e o uma ia wa ai o moe mitinga ia. Ia matulanga ia na whaatino ai. Lea se senga o launga lue i AUT, ma launga lue i Griffith.
I think at AUT, especially being an academic in New Zealand, you have a lot of support. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
infrastructure and initiatives that are already existing. I feel that in Australia, we are constantly proving ourselves that we have to act first and then investment
Yeah,
comes,
yeah.
or we'll have the crumbs and not, not the full feast, so to speak.
Ia,
So,
tau te hui umai le awala na. E te umai ai ona o. Ia, paulawa fo i o le vaenga le o le. O ngaluenga tau tupe. E sila po o pe se vaenga e te tau o na whaasoa i aile tupe a university tu langa whapena, especially while service on top of what's already offered,
Yes.
mo isi students lava. Si sila la ya wala whapena. Are you encouraged every day or every,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Well, don't give up hope. You just keep working it until keep trying until it happens.
mani,
Just never give up. If you've got that passion and you just keep driving, keep fueling the flame. And when feeling down, read a book or watch a joyful movie, a film, look at ancestral paths and who has come before. And I look to, the role models in New Zealand and South in the islands. And I think, they have done it. So there's no reason why we can't. We just need to keep pushing along. We have a lovely, Australian Pacifica Educators Network where we're all passionate
malo,
professionals and
malaya,
educators, academics, and we have the same heart. We know what worked for New Zealand, and we're just proving that it will work in Australia.
e
But
will.
as I said before, it's not just for our communities are not the only ones who benefit. The other non-Pacifica, non-Maori people, they love it as well. So you know.
It'll benefit
Yeah, they
Australia.
benefit. It's a win. I'm always
Yeah.
selling it. It's a win-win situation for all.
E mo ia lo whaingata lava so i fuanga i New Zealand lo ia i fo inisi o whawhitau. Au te le a le la a New Zealand. A fia sila la pe to of walu lai tonu o parimene. We got our members of parliament, yeah. We even have a vice chancellor, Pule se university,
Yes,
i
AUT.
utile, professor Salisa.
Damon Salisa.
Yeah, ila isi vaenga, ua te le ale achievement a New Zealand. Vi ele li I Matua, mai la tau vapena malanga mai ma. Fa mautu, matulanga vapi, like self Albert Went, o Tangaloa, Peggy, mai la tau lo vapena fatino. Mo moli atu foi le matou fa malo si au. I lau sunga mai se foi le tau executive. Pacific Academics and Professionals in Australia. You'll get there. Tele ngā ruenga e
Thank you.
whai. E matangofi, o le upule. I read somewhere. O le tele o lo ngā ruenga, o tele foi na o le mahali. O lo fia pe when you achieve it.
Amen.
Matulanga whapena. O le ala le si vaenga le te nau e achieve. Wale wai I o walo na umuli atia o le university mani. Matulanga whapena. So what else is there for you to achieve?
I think publications, but writing novels, theatre productions or screenwriting.
Mana,
Professor sounds good too, but I know that's quite a
you can get there. You
expensive.
can. Mm.
Well, the only thing is, we have contract work here in the universities. It's the way the Australian Accord or Australian universities are going at the moment, the next 10 years, unless we do something drastic to continue its existence, our jobs are quite limited.
Volatile.
So we're always trying to be creative. How can we extend our contracts from one year to the next? So, everything's possible with God.
Everything's
Who knew that I
possible.
would
Yeah.
be able to achieve a PhD after failing high school twice?
No. God is good. Keep
I
on
mean,
hoping. Yeah, I won't give up. Fin au pe. Ato tele ai la to e malanga atu. Ia la tele fol mana o mio o to fionga. Ia wal fatino ina au nanga. Malol fina e falangolongo amale me o le loto. Whaafitai lo talia ina o le wala au tau te tala noa. E te le comfortable le ngan Samoa. Ia ai mawhanawhana lo loto o Samoa. O lo e whinau, mo whanau lalo wao o Samoa mo le Pasifika Maoli. O lo whapenau sa ili sosoani atu. Ia mai se o ngā luenga o lo whianga iai. Ma lo whaafitai. Ia lo whangia le tua fwoi atu pia. Awa noa, mo lau sunga. Ia, mai se o tō umo lo fina au ina. Whaftai fo whaasoa mai o le se senga o atunu. Ia, o lo tau pati a New Zealand. We are moving ahead in most areas. Ia, ai fo isi areas o lo manau mia. Ia, whapea tatou whaasoa. Ia, mafsosoani. Ia, whapea, I think we should meet often. Ia, whaasoa au
Absolutely.
wala ni lei matulanga whapea na. Whaftai mo le awanoa. Atu ne awanoa whai. Po ai nisi vaenga o e fia whaasoa mai ai. Oi whatat. Walenta wheloa ele fono tele le a Commonwealth sa whai o Samoa. What did you bring back from Jokham?
Apart from meeting the king, it was a really fantastic experience.
That's a massive
Who
one.
came, who came to Matua. That was lovely. I think it was really encouraging to see that the Commonwealth leaders were taking notice of our small island states or
Mani.
even coming to Samoa. And I have to say that, unless you were there experiencing Chogam, I was so proud of
Mani.
Samoa as a nation, of the leadership, the Honorable Prime Minister Fumi, and how they had put everything together in such a short amount of time, because I was there in August, September, yeah, and thought, oh, how are they going to get everything finished? But it
But they
was
did.
exceeded my expectations. It was wonderful to meet delegates like yourself, Tofilau, and to meet so many other people from around the world,
Yes.
listening to the great women's topics, and just being able to go to different legal sessions as well to find out what is happening around the Commonwealth countries and how we can support each other. And I think coming away from it is, how can we continue? We all have a passion to continue improving opportunities for all disciplines, for women, for men, families, and so forth. How can we continue to encourage and boost one another before the next conference, before the next CHOGM? You don't want to have the same problem. So that was encouraging to hear people that they're really wanting to improve all aspects of the countries that they came from. And many of them, it was their first time to Samoa. So,
Yeah.
that was so lovely
Ele
to
ngalo.
meet other delegates there.
Ele ngalo lea opportunity. Te le maritaua. Ia, mai se re soifua. E whaongaina. O se tatou atunu. I te tai pēna e saunoa. Atu langwa pēna. Aftai again. Ia. O i se mea e fia saunoa mai ai whai wai tatou Polokalame. Lau sunga Fomai o Tofa Manino.
I just want to say thank you so much, Afioga Tofilau, for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I have to say, growing up, my parents mentioned the work that you and your late husband had done in bringing and supporting other students from overseas at Otago University. Your legacy, I've heard from I think my early 30s. I'm now past 50. So, I'm grateful for role models and leaders in the community as yourself. And thank you for this opportunity, and also for allowing me to respond in English.
The next one will be in Samoan.
Yes, 100%. Se lau pasenge.
Yeah. You're most welcome. Lau sunga Fomai. Yeah, matou talo. Ia toa pelo roto. Ia. Alo wha atu I fuafuanga mga luenga le leo lo whatino ina. Ia vi ia le li whaonga ina o tau soifua. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for sharing your load, your work. Ia, ai mai se o pathways na e whapena e alama iai. Ia whapea fwena fsosoani Matua o nisi o lo whaafonga mai. Alo so sau ni ele tua si se ama no tato Falea'Oga ai Lumana'I. Ai lo fatele ati oe male ainga. And those people who are supporting you as you work to help our students. Ia manuia le afiafi.
Manuia fo e Tofilau, whaftailanga. God
Soifua
bless.
ia mai ia manuia. Ia ole nā Samoa lau whaafonga stasi au lupe whaalele. Ia le tato Malo ne afiafi. Ia ole sunga I le Fomai o Tofa Manino. ia o le matua Faiva ia Dr. Vaoiva Natapu-Ponton mafuta mai Griffiths University i Brisbane, Australia. I le nei afiafi vi ia le li ia na whaamanuianga.